All she did was steal a roll of tape. For that single crime, the mayor sentenced her to death. But in the name of fairness inside the bunker, they didn't execute her by force. Instead, they custom-fitted her with a hazmat suit and sent her outside to die from the radiation. Before sealing the suit, one of the workers slipped a cleaning cloth into her pocket. Then they carefully sealed every seam. Standing before the enforcement officers, the mayor read the exile order. The moment she stepped outside, she would no longer be a legal resident of the bunker. On behalf of everyone inside, she was ordered to clean the dust from the exterior cameras, so her death could serve as a warning. Anyone who went outside died. The bunker was humanity's only chance to survive. Once the sentence was complete, the workers locked her helmet into place. Then she began walking toward her fate. The massive steel door slowly opened, revealing the decontamination chamber. Once the inner and outer airlocks were completely sealed off from each other, the decontamination cycle began. Smoke filled the chamber. Moments later, the outer door opened. For the first time in her life, she saw the world outside. She walked through the long tunnel and finally stepped into the open. Back inside the bunker, every resident crowded around the giant screen. They watched the familiar camera feed as a lone figure appeared outside. But what she saw with her own eyes was completely different from what everyone inside was seeing. The world around her was lush and green. She had seen that exact landscape once before on an old hard drive. Now it matched perfectly. She turned back toward the bunker. Inside, everyone waited for what always happened next, but instead, they witnessed something no one had ever seen before. She lifted the cleaning cloth, then lowered it without wiping the camera. Instead, she turned and walked toward two large rocks on the hillside. Eventually, she collapsed at the exact same spot where every previous cleaner had died. As her breathing slowed, she seemed destined to become just another warning for the people inside. But something was different. She stayed alive much longer than anyone before her. Reaching out, she touched one of the rocks and realized it was only a hologram. She pulled out the former sheriff's badge, placed it beside a nearby body, and finally understood everything. It was the tape. That single roll of tape had kept her alive. Inside the bunker, everyone waited for her to die. But instead, she stood back up. Unlike every cleaner before her, she never died beneath the tree. She climbed over the hill. The moment she took one more step, the green landscape vanished. All that remained was a barren wasteland. The outside world looked exactly the way the bunker had always described it: empty, lifeless. Not a single sign of life remained. She looked back one last time. While everyone inside watched in disbelief, she turned around and kept walking until she disappeared from view. No one inside could understand what they had just witnessed, but the reality before her wasn't the hopeful world they imagined. Right beside Bunker 18 stood Bunkers 17 and 16. Each one was buried beneath the ground, sealed off in its own isolated world. She kept walking until she reached the hillside overlooking the neighboring bunker. What she found there was horrifying. The ground surrounding the entrance was covered with bodies, their remains weathered away by time.